Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and today I'm doing my sort of tarot wrap-up, I guess, for November. One of the decks I use quite a lot. So I work partly from home. So when I work from home, I have tarot on my desk. I don't take it to work because people would be weird about it. But from home, I do. And a couple of the decks I used, one of them was the Thistledown. And this is just a completely beautiful and adorable deck from, like, he can make snakes look cute. How does he make snakes look cute? I don't know. Let's leave my bed. This was because at the beginning of November, it was still remarkably fall-like here. So where I live in Canada, usually the first frost, like the first proper frost, is the beginning of September. That didn't really happen. It was at the end of September, and we didn't get a hard frost until well into October, and it's just been such a weird fall. It was unseasonably warm all through November. Like, plants on my balcony were still growing in November. That never happens. It was weird. Usually there's snow by Halloween. Like, it's just... So I don't know if that's a climate change thing, probably, but yeah, it was wild. So I was still using some of my, like, October-y fall decks, September, October, in November, and this was one of them. The other one that sort of fits into that category is the Guardian of the Night Tarot. I guess I could use this in the winter as well, but it seems quite fall to me. Whoops. So, and this was one of those decks that I wanted to get to know a little bit better this year, so it was fun to use. Because I'd gotten it a year or two ago, and just, I'm at the point where I have, like, enough decks now. I could stop buying decks now. I mean, I have a couple Kickstarters ordered. But I could stop buying decks and I'd be perfectly well covered. So some of the ones that I haven't used a ton of, and this was one of them. So it was nice to pull it out and spend some more time with it and feel like it wasn't just, you know, sitting on my shelf collecting dust and that I'd gotten it for no reason. I mean, I didn't get it for no reason. I really like her artwork. Yeah, this was fun to spend some more time with this fall, and it's a good October-November deck, I feel, because it's a little bit cooler than some of the warm early fall decks. Anyway, the last sort of fall-ish deck that I used a fair bit of was the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, which I feel like I've talked a lot about this year, but in its defense, it's really good. So it is by, what's her name, Cara Small. I can't remember her. She's got a YouTube channel. I can't remember what it is. She's got another Tarot of the Huntress, I think, for Artemis deck, but I haven't gotten that one. But this one is really beautiful and works really, really well for my garden. It's sort of my dedicated garden deck now. It's got both the sort of spring growth, new blooms aspect, and then also the end of the season, beginning of decay sort of cards. So it works really beautifully for that, and it might be the only found art, like pre-existing art deck that I've got. Certainly it's the best one if I have any others. And I don't tend to get those because even though I like this style of art, nothing really clicked for me before. But this one is so well thought out. I mean, she really put a lot of effort into this, and it's beautifully done. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. So those were the more fall-ish, less winter, more fall decks. I pulled out the Shadowmyths deck, which is a bit intense, fair warning. Oh, I hate this. I need to get a bag for this or something, because this plastic box is maddening. But it is, I think it's actually a D&D deck, but you can get them as oracle cards. But there were a couple of days this month, I think probably due to the American election, where I was feeling a bit ragey. So I pulled this out, and it was actually really great for that. I was having trouble wrapping my head around how people could vote for somebody who has said, and in fact in his first term has done things that will harm so many people. It mystifies me how people can justify that. In their own, like, self-interest, of course, but, like, how do other people in your community not factor into the equation? I don't get it. I still don't get it. And probably in Canada we're gonna have next year. He's not as bad as Trump, but we're probably gonna have a different prime minister who's like Trump light, like miniature Trump. He won't be able to do as much damage as Trump because Canadian politicians can never do that. Like, they're just not as powerful, which is fine with me, actually. I don't feel like we need to be a world power or anything ridiculous. But yeah, it was really difficult to consider the people I know who are vulnerable, who will become even more vulnerable to harm when these sorts of people get elected. So this was my ragey deck for a few, and I only used it for a few days because it's a bit much. But yeah, that was good. And then I got 28 Days, a deck of cards by Bea Nettles. So this is menstrual cycle focused. So it's got 28 cards for the 28 days. And not all of them have words on it, but I was playing around a bit with this, and it just got plain on the back. So it's not super fancy. The cardstock is nothing to write home about, but the imagery is really intriguing. So I had this out for most of the month and just found it was an interesting experience. I don't know that I'll use this deck a ton, but it wasn't super expensive, so it was interesting to try out. And who knows, it may come out again one day. Yeah, don't really have anything else to say about that. The other two that I started using more towards the end of the month are sort of fall decks. I guess they're fall decks. I don't know. This is the Buffy Vampire Slayer deck, which I love. I still need somebody to tell me if the guidebook is fixed for the new mini, because if it is, I might actually get it. But I don't want to get it if the guidebook is still all wrong. I edged it in purple because I just need more purple in my life. And it was fun. It cheered me up all month. I've been rewatching Buffy. I haven't in the last week or so, but I've been watching a lot of it this month, like through season. I think I'm on season 6? 5? 6? I think 6 now. Somewhere in that vicinity. Anyway, and yeah, I love the colors in this. And I love the TV show. It's so much fun. And sometimes quite ridiculous, but sometimes, you know, the world is ridiculous, so you need a bit of ridiculous that's just fun. And this definitely qualifies. So this was out on my dresser sort of pretty well all month. Just to play, you know? And then the last one I used was, of course, the Gothic Literature Tarot. I used this, and the very first card I pulled out was the monk. What's his name? Father Ambrosia. So I think maybe I have to bite the bullet, and next year, if they do Gothlet November again, which I hope they will, I will have to read that one, I think, is the verdict. Because I haven't. Because some of the early, like, original Gothic lit are just too ridiculous for me. Like, I've read a couple of the Anne Radcliffe books, and Harold somebody, what, I can't remember. and they're just too over the top soap opera-y for me personally. I mean, I realize Gothic is always a bit over the top. It's not exactly subtle, which is kind of the fun of it, but those ones are just like extra silly. And so sometimes when I first read them, and this was like 20 years ago now, I just thought they were a bit too much for me and didn't really go more into reading more of the classics. But I think I might have to read them on just because I need to know what it's about. I mean, I have a vague idea of the storyline because I've read about the origins of Gothic lit, but anyway. This is a super fun, I haven't read this book yet, super fun deck. Very atmospheric, very good for November. Yep, really enjoying it. There were a few other decks that I used that I paired with some of the Gothic books that I used, but I'll talk about those more in the book wrap-up video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.